Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs, and welcome to the voice of the resistance. That's right. That is me, all day long, all day long, halfway through the night. Okay, listen. When I left you the last time, I told you that I was working on a little bit of this Benghazi gate, and I would share with you what my findings were. And I will be honest with you, it's very convoluted. It's very, very convoluted because it's extremely difficult to get any of the information out of this administration, or as I like to call it, this regime. So, I've been able to pin a couple of things to the wall. I've been piecing a little bit of the puzzle together. I'm going to throw some things out at you. Let me know what you think about this. During the election, we all heard just a ton about Mitt Romney's binders. Binders full of women. That's what Mitt Romney had. Binders full of women. And they made a lot of hay about that. Almost to the point where it made me kind of nauseous. Well, actually, no, it did make me kind of. Not even almost. It absolutely did. But what they didn't tell you was that the anointed one, the savior of the world, Barack Hussein Obama, has binders as well. His binders are a little different, though. I'm going to shed some light on the binders that our dear leader has. The first Obama binder is his kill list binder. That's the binder that has his kill list. The list of people, including Americans, proven fact. A list of people, including Americans, that he has chosen or marked for death. He has appointed himself to be judge and executioner. So if you look in this binder, you're going to find people that will undoubtedly look up one day and see a Hellfire missile coming down right at them from a drone. It is what it is. Now that's the kill list binder. The second binder that the anointed one has, that the savior of the planet has, is called the Patsy binder, or also known as the Fall Guy binder. Now, in this binder, you're going to find a list of people that they've already vetted and have numerous things on that they can blame, for example, if things blow up in the Middle East. You will find on that in that binder one name already marked off, and that's a guy that I like to refer to as political prisoner number one. Yes. Now, here's what's interesting. Most of you remember that after the ambassador in Libya was murdered, brutally raped and murdered, there was a man who was a YouTube political filmmaker, and I'm not even sure that to call him a filmmaker would probably be doing as much justice to filmmakers as to call me a filmmaker. And up until the publicity, this guy didn't get anywhere near the views that I have. So, political prisoner number one gets yanked in the middle of the night to cover for the events that were going down in Libya, in Benghazi. Now, we don't really know at what point they realized at what point what was happening. We don't really know because we don't have that information. But what we do know is shortly after the ambassador's death, the Patsy, the Fall Guy, was already singled out from the binder for his role in this thing, which is literally as Patsy. He, by the way, was just sentenced recently to 1 year in prison. Now, I do not know if there is any kind of, shall we say, media blackout attached to him. Because nobody's heard from him. It was like he disappeared. Well, we knew he was in prison, and at first they were keeping him for his own safety, and then that turned into trumped up charges. Which, by the way, you will find if you look in the binder in the Fall Guy or Patsy binder, you will find trumped up charges. There's a whole list of them. This is the guy that you can blame on X, Y, and Z, and these are the things you can actually charge him for to put him in prison. Now, interesting factoid. In case you did not know, the judge that sentenced Patsy or political prisoner number one to prison was appointed to the bench by, I'm just going to let you guess. Just going to let you take a stab at it. That's right. The anointed one himself. The judge was appointed to the bench by none other than Barack Hussein Obama. Oh, and by the way, when the Patsy was first drug into court, it's the same judge. So I guess actually, there probably should be another binder there. That's judges appointed by. The binder that shows which judges are appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, because those are the ones you want to go to. So anyway, God help political prisoner number one. And it's funny. I call him political prisoner number one, but in all reality, we don't know. He may be political prisoner number 5,928. We have no idea. We have no idea how many people Barack Hussein Obama has imprisoned with his kangaroo courts. No clue. So let's recap so far, because we got more binders coming, or at least one more binder coming. Let's recap. We've got the kill list binder, which has the list of people that Barack Hussein Obama has literally appointed himself judge, jury, and executioner over. We've got the Patsy / Fall Guy binder, which comes in very handy. And of course, now I've added the judge binder, the judge's binder. But the final binder is a binder that I like to call the J. Edgar Hoover binder. That's right. the J. Edgar Hoover binder. Now I'm going to tell you a little story, just real quick to line this up. I heard somebody that was former, I believe CIA, tell a story one time about how J. Edgar Hoover had managed. By the way, for those of you who do not know, J. Edgar Hoover passed. He's the late J. Edgar Hoover was at one time director of the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He was appointed by, I don't even remember what president. I think maybe Roosevelt. And he stayed there the longest of any in the history of directors of the FBI, longer than anyone else. In fact, the FBI building is called the J. Edgar Hoover building, which is kind of a travesty, but it is what it is. So anyway, the story was, this guy was explaining why or how it was that J. Edgar Hoover managed to never be replaced by any incoming president ever. Because as you know, typically, when you have a new president, they like to put their own key people in, and surely the FBI director would have been a key person. It's just, the story goes like this. John F. Kennedy Jr. becomes president, JFK. He becomes president, and he takes his meeting, initial meeting with J. Edgar Hoover, who was at the time director of the FBI. So, did I say John F. Kennedy Jr.? Was he a junior? I don't know. JFK anyway. So, see how easily sidetracked I am. So anyway, Jack Kennedy sits down with J. Edgar Hoover, and J. Edgar Hoover hands him a manila envelope. And he kind of leans in and he says, "Mr. President, we found these, we got our hands on these photographs, and we wanted to make sure that you were protected, so, we got them. And just, we don't know if there's any others floating out there or not, but we have these, and we wanted to make sure that you got these because, you wouldn't want these to end up in just anybody's hands. So, we are looking out for you." Turns out the manila envelope had some photographs of the president with a lady of the evening, some hooker. I'm sure she was working for the FBI, and I'm sure that she was part of a setup to get that kind of dirt on the president. And it was done before he became president. Who knows at what point? J. Edgar Hoover had folders on everybody. He didn't talk about a man with binders. He had some serious binders. So Obama has learned from that. the strategies of J. Edgar Hoover. So the J. Edgar Hoover binder that Obama likes to keep has dirt. Now, what kind of dirt could he possibly have? Well, I want you to open your mind up to this because I find this to be very, very intriguing. You have a Secretary of State, or former Secretary of State, Hillary Rodham Clinton, who, for all intents and purposes, has been MIA for the longest time. In fact, while her husband was giving a speech at the DNC convention, she was overseas. I mean, they literally kept her in exile for the longest time. When Benghazi happened, she actually took blame. Now, she didn't take responsibility for it because that would have meant that she would have had to resign. But she took blame for it, when she was clearly not the person going in front of the cameras and claiming that it was a YouTuber. Well, at some point, she got involved with that. But I find it kind of interesting. And when she was scheduled to testify before the Congress about Benghazi, she resigned her position as Secretary of State, and now apparently is not going to give any testimony. So I don't know what was in the J. Edgar Hoover binder, but obviously it was something special. And if you think about it, Hillary Clinton was always thought to be the one that was going to run for president in 2016. I don't know, to be honest with you, if I was her, I don't know that I would have been having my husband stumping for President Obama. In fact, I'm sure she would have liked President Obama to have lost, but I don't know that. So anyway, Hillary Clinton was dispatched, and I believe from dirt, from the J. Edgar Hoover binder. Now that takes us to General Petraeus. Now you've got Secretary of State. She's out of the picture. She's no longer testifying in front of Congress. Now you've got the director of the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, famous General Petraeus, savior of the Middle East. You know, highly thought of, highly respected by most people. And then all of a sudden, a week before he was to give testimony in his official capacity as director of the CIA regarding Benghazi, all of a sudden out comes this interesting little problem that he has, that he was sleeping with his biographer. So, oh, by the way, I believe she was also a West Point graduate. I'm not entirely positive about that. But out came that little bit of information. And I'm quite certain that it was in the J. Edgar Hoover binder. And here's the interesting thing about that. Now, apparently, it's now a very huge deal for somebody to have an affair. Now, if you remember back when Bill Clinton was having an affair, it was nobody's business but his and his wife. It was between him and his wife. Nobody was talking about how the commander-in-chief of the armed forces could be blackmailed because of this affair thing, so he's got to resign, which is exactly what they said about Petraeus. He had to resign. He has to resign. He could be, in his position as director of CIA, he could be opening himself up to blackmail. Last time I checked, director of the CIA, although a very important position, was nowhere near as important as commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States. So, I mean, all right, so how's this work? How do you force a general to resign over an affair? I mean, because nobody could force Bill Clinton to resign, that's for sure. Well, it's simple. Adultery is a crime under the Uniform Code of Justice. It's just that simple. It doesn't matter if you're a private or a general. Adultery is a crime, and it's punishable by court-martial. Now, here's the thing. If you're trying to prevent, here's the game. You're Obama and you're trying to prevent the general, the good general, the director of the CIA, who, by the way, had just recently been in the Middle East investigating Benghazi. You don't want him testifying. So you call him in and you say, hey, look, you got your little binder there, your little J. Edgar Hoover binder, and you say, hey, look, look what we have. And you're going to have to resign, and you're not going to give any testimony regarding Benghazi, period. But, because, Obama's the benevolent one, the dear leader, he says to Petraeus, he says, look, we're guys here, come on. I understand. I'll tell you what, you go away quietly, take your medicine, be, like a good boy, and I will let you retire with full rank. That's right. Because, understand that at the discretion of the commander-in-chief, I mean, he could have been busted all the way down to buck private. Now, listen, a man at his age isn't looking to start over. That pension's important. So, and I think a general's pension's like $250,000 a year. It's nothing to sneeze at. So basically, the binder, the J. Edgar Hoover binder, prevented the good general from doing the right thing. Now, there are people, by the way, who say that Petraeus is an honorable man and there's no way he'd be played like this. But let me tell you something. When you're looking at a situation where you're not going to get a pension, screw the whole, the brig and all that crap. You're bottom line, you're not going to get a pension. Or I think the Army's stuck here. You're not going to get a pension. Your wife's not going to get a pension. I mean, and I know. Listen, she'd been your wife for many years, raised a family with you, and now all of a sudden, because you had an affair, she's screwed. You see what I'm trying to say? I don't care how honorable of a man you are, faced with that situation, those circumstances, you're going to do the dance. So here we are in a situation where now we have a former director of CIA who is no longer going to testify in front of Congress, although there are people in Congress that say they're going to make sure it happens. Good luck. Even if you get him in front of you, I don't think he's talking. And Hillary Clinton? No. I'd love to see what's in that J. Edgar Hoover binder. I really would love to see that. So, that's just kind of what I put together, and I'm just one guy. I will tell you this much. The media has, and I've said this a million times, I'm going to say it a million more times, and I'm trying to devise some kind of an attack plan to bring some justice to that, but the media has literally committed journalistic treason. There's no other way to look at it. They have committed journalistic treason. That's right. You've got foreign news agencies outside of the country that are actually looking into this, and they're blown away by what's going on in our news media. I mean, it's an absolute cover-up. It's a cover-up like we've never seen before. It is literally the equivalent of if, didn't happen, but if Woodward and Bernstein would have assisted the Nixon administration in covering up Watergate. That's what we have here. We have a media that is literally committing treason. They're advocating their responsibility under the First Amendment, which is to keep an eye on the government, to tell the truth. They've literally reduced themselves to the equivalent of Pravda. It is what it is. And for those of you who don't know what Pravda is, look it up. That's what Google's for. All right, listen, that's all I got. I'm not going to keep going on about this, but this is disgusting. It's sickening. It is Obama. It's Obama's America. That's exactly what it is. It's Obama's America. This is exactly the way things are now. Corrupt, pathetic. Doesn't matter who dies. Doesn't matter. We lose an ambassador. Some YouTuber did it. It's all his fault. I'd love to see an interview with that guy. Although I don't know how much he'd be talking either. he's probably trying to get his year out of the way and get the hell out of Dodge. I don't know. It's pathetic. It's a pathetic situation. But it is what it is. We got crooked judges. We got crooked media. We've got kill lists. We've got patsy folders. We've got, dirt folders. Blackmail folders. Binders. Anyway, that's all I got for everybody. Yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think. It just, you know what? Hey, oh, wait, before I let you go. Blade Reviews 101 blog spot. I want you guys to check it out. This guy does some really awesome Blade reviews. He's a cool dude. He asked me to give him a shout out. I'm giving him a shout out. He's an awesome guy. I'm gonna have a link down below to his blog. If you're into knives, definitely check him out. He is a nice guy. He really is a nice guy. That's an unpaid endorsement for him because he's just that cool. All right, listen, everybody. Take care and let me know in the comment section what you think. See ya.